really special event. As I mentioned, this is something that Toronto can keep near and dear to our hearts because we know a lot of the people that were on the screen, and we're passionate about the plant-based treaty and the SAVE movement, and everybody remembers where they were when they heard about Regan Russell. So I'm excited to be up here with Raymond Cruzzola, Anita Krajnc, and let's to talk a little bit about the inspiration for these films. We started with food systems change, not climate change. And Anita, you went to the COP Summit, and maybe you could talk a little bit about how it started out as a social media project, but it grew into something that obviously there was a bigger story to tell.
Thanks. Yeah, I developed up. I had grown for like, I don't know, 7 years. So
It's both again.
we have a Metsi team, as you saw, that went to pop, and it's done by Hashini, who also did the I Am Octopus film, and she's very talented. So what I like about film was it showed that you could have like hundreds of conversations, and you could meet with environment ministers and delegates from all over the world. And, I'm happy that Celeste is going to the next COP 30, but in the green zone, but you can have conversations with so many people and try to change the world. And we're getting close to a country endorsement, working with Bhutan, working with Ghana, and other countries. And so we were inspired by the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, and they have 150 cities that endorsed, 100 global laureates, the Dalai Lama, and 18 countries making a lot of small island states, and Pakistan and Colombia. So we feel, our goal is in 5 years, we want to get 1,000 cities and 20 countries and then begin negotiations. So by 2030. So it sounds so impossible when you first think about, let's get a global plant-based treaty, or we can do it. And we need to do it, as Dr. Celeste Raza. We need to do it well.
I always wondered difficult to talk after viewing this film. You just saw so many emotions just floating inside, so very, very. The inspiration for this film, it started with telling the story of Regan's parents, and we really believe in the power of storytelling. It moves people. It changes the way people think and feel. It's really important. So for telling your story had huge value, and it was, and then things changed, evolved from there, and we saw. We tried to think about what would Regan want us to do with this story, and I think the plant-based treaty is beyond amazing, and it's so powerful, and we saw this as a great opportunity to really let people, try to let people see how powerful their voice can be. There's so many things in the system that tries to make us feel powerless, but that's beyond the truth, and it takes a lot of getting out of your comfort zone. But so I'm really hoping this film helps people understand what they have inside them all the time. So it's just more than a pleasure to work on something so meaningful and so purposeful.
That leads into my next question, because there have been other films featuring Regan, and there was a killing by Sean Monson, and I was interested to see how this film was going to be different, and it rather than a killing, this is about a living. This is her life and family. My own experience with the film, because I saw it screened at the Donkey Sanctuary for a premiere, and I was there to set up the tech for Jane Blaise Mitchell to screen it, to screen the premiere of it, and by chance I just happened to be sitting next to Regan's parents and her best friend while watching this movie, and that in itself, I really can't replicate that experience for everybody. The amazing thing was they're watching it, not as a tragedy, but they were talking about the people that are on the screen whispering to each other about how, oh, remember that person and that happened on that day where that thing happened. It was like watching home movies, which is, I mean, that's an incredible experience to have.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, I'd love to give it up for all the activists. There's a lot of activists who are in the film or in the audience right now. And yeah, I just love to give it up to them. Like, thank you for giving yourself.
It was a fun moment when I was at the VHTO Fest and I announced that Food Systems Change, Not Climate Change, was the winner of the environmental category. And Anita was there and she was yelling, oh, hush me, hush me, hush me. And I forgot that was the name of the director, and I thought that's an interesting celebration. Can you tell us a little bit about Hoshimi, because she wasn't able to attend today.
Right, so Ho Chi Minh is in Georgia, the country, not the state, the U.S. And she's very talented. She writes music. She did all the and she works really hard. She did that film in like a couple of weeks, like it's a 20-minute talk. So she's very talented. She works hard. And I know that Tammy from the Million Vegan Grandmothers wants to do a doc for the film, and I said, hey, how can do it? And she goes, could she do it in 6 months?
And she did the I Am an Octopus, and she's done other animations. She's got a very distinct style.
Yeah, I Am an Octopus was quite personal for her because she's Japanese background, and the scene at the table with the parents was like that. You know, her parents were angry that she didn't want to eat animals, and that's her fantasy that she broke through and rescued that octopus. And it was a very moving story. And we put a little bit of Tolstoy in there at the end that says, when you wish to harm someone, when humans wish to harm others, they really do evil to themselves. And I think that's the story of the earth right now. When we're arming animals, we are going to kill ourselves.
Maybe now it's good to take some questions from the audience for either any of the three films. Susan.
I cried, and it's very hard. Think you cried. The middle one and the last, the Octopus. And I'm just wondering, are you going to Misa? What's it called? Pick up the next one? Are you going to? Yeah, just we go to every cop. Yes. Not Misa. Oh my God.
You got Vika in the minds.
It's now called Cop by here.
Yeah, so we send a fairly large team every cop, and we try to get regional people. So people from Latin America are going to go there for the first time. We try to, if we have a couple of Brazilians going, we got Valespa from Mexico City going, we got Azul from Uruguay, and then we got San Lau. So the Asian LA team knows San Lau from LA is going, and Enrique, who you saw. It's very, very frustrating. Remember the opening line? Because he's really hardworking. He's like, look, they get more than 100 meetings because he's obsessed. He's really nice. And Cindy's going, and we have somebody from Africa going for the first time. We got somebody from Uganda. So we tried to get like representation and have a globally representative team. So yeah, we're excited about that.
You mentioned earlier that you're working on campaigns to get countries involved in signing the plant-based treaty, and that's one thing I've always been fascinated about the plant-based treaty is that if you get frustrated with environmental politics, it's usually at the national level that you just don't see anything happening. But the plant-based treaty was wise enough to recognize that there's a lot that can happen in the municipal level, and obviously, cities are very urban and may have a different perspective on environmentalism that concentrates in paying attention to global affairs, but it occurs to me that it is a symptom. If we're starting to get countries involved, that's a sign of progress. That's, and that sounds very exciting.
Yeah, so we copied the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Sabora Berman, a fellow Canadian. So the treaty was sort of inspired in Toronto, fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Sabora Berman, I knew her since '93 in Blackwood Sound. She was my blockade leader, and my sister and I got arrested to Kentucky for brain mirrors. And contacted her 4 years ago and said, how do we put food system on the global agenda? And she's the chair of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, and then we copied it. So their theory of change, which we copied, is you try to get endorsements for individuals, groups, businesses, and cities to create final pressure for a global agreement. And so we do that, but then we also added, we have two goals, a global treaty, but also global action on the part of cities and local institutions. So we see, my past is I have degrees in political science. So I see the state as the most powerful actor in the sense that they define the rules of the game. Power is defined by who decides on the rules of the game. So it's very important to make sure that governments are democratic and the rules of the game are in favor of planet B or the Earth, protecting life on Earth. And so that's why we target cities, but also then go up from there, like provinces, states, national governments, and then we want to get a global treaty. But so yeah, that's why cities are top. I think maybe Ray has something to say about it.
I love it. Like a lot of people may not understand the bigger picture and the forklift involved and so forth, but it's when you understand it, it brings hope, and you see a lot of potential. And I think it's amazing. I love how they're working with environmental groups as well. So I'm a huge fan of the Plant-Based Treaty, and if anyone's considering giving yourself to the movement, I strongly recommend it.
And yes, here.
A couple questions for Ray. I was wondering if you have an idea of how many hours you actually spend putting that together. I'm trying, and where do you get your hair cut?
Hello. I don't even know how many hours. There's a lot of time. A lot of the hours are really just sitting and observing different films. I try to observe a lot of the fiction films, so I really wanted it to hit home in a certain way. This is my first documentary, so there's a huge learning curve. A lot of hours just literally sitting there, brainstorming edits, and then my wife would ask me a question. I'm like, hold on, I'm working right now. So there's a lot of hours that are just how they come from the observing, just a lot. Okay, yeah.
What was the most shallow part?
It's like you really have to get into the emotional state of the audience and really try to feel where they are at each stage of the film, and so you're feeling these horrible emotions in certain scenes at least. And so like the scene with the parents, that really, it felt very uncomfortable, and I noticed that it was close procrastinating even to edit that scene, and I understand why. So it's just going through the motions. Yeah, but then at the same time, there were scenes that really made me feel amazing. Like I could cry while I'm editing, but it was such an emotional journey. I loved it.
In putting on this festival with 7 different programs, I was trying to channel the audience into recognizing the different types of films that would be in each section, and hoping that would give them an idea of the lineup without actually having to know each individual film. But there was one film that everybody wanted to know when it was on, and it was I'm Trying. They said, when is the Rita Russell film going to be on? So that was all of you. So thanks for showing an interest in coming here tonight. And as I said, it's something very special that anybody in the world could participate in. But it is interesting how a death and a tragedy can bring people together and watch it all together, and we're maybe taking away something a little bit different, but there's something that is very similar that connects us all. And I'm sure that's part of the intent of this film.
Yeah, that to bring people together. When we screened it at the Carlton, like I could really feel the emotion in the theater afterwards, and it just felt so easy to talk to people after. Like I felt this unity and this meshing of yeah, just people. So I think that's so crucial for us to move forward to these goals, and I'm really happy that this film can have achieved that. All right.
Texture mà overwork bỏ chút sâu organic what's can happen with it yourself that you need available to others sure there are all sorts of people in the local and far away who would want to see that.
I have an answer to that, but I think answering directly where these films can be seen. Right where they live.
So right now we did the festival run. Yesterday it was screened in Greece. It's going to be in Mexico, Australia, and so forth, in different places. Then the process may take a few months, and then after that we're going to look at different distribution channels and support that eventually it'll be on YouTube, of course. So, and we'll see what happens. But we obviously will push it out as far as you can.
Yeah. If anyone here has any connections, say with CBC or, public broadcasting like TBN Ontario or something, and please let us know, because this film deserves, Canadian audience and an international audience. So if anyone has any immediate contacts, but please let us know.
And food system change, climate change, and I'm an Octopus are on YouTube now. So share with people when you get home. As for the festival, the structure that we have after the flagship event, where we get together in Toronto and watch the films, a week or two later, the virtual festival happens. So that will be an opportunity for everybody who wasn't able to come to Toronto to partake in some of the films. So the best way to find out when that happens is follow our newsletter, and it's on our website, theibff.com/subscribe, if you want to go directly to that page. And in January, we start the world tour. So the IBFF world tour, anybody with a screen and an audience, any city in the world, can lease the films. They play a flat rate, and they can sell their own tickets and keep all the proceeds and engage their communities. And it's been a fixed program in past years, but I want to try to make it a little bit more a la carte and choose the films that you want. It may take a little more organizing, but I really want these films to find their audiences.
Finally. My question is for Ray. What's your next step? Are you working on something new?
Yeah, I'm in talks with our psychotherapist. We're in discussion about a possible documentary about mental health and different ways it's perceived in different parts of the world and different cultures and so forth. So that's in the talks, and hopefully that it goes through. That one will be really good.
So, complicated question. This movie begin this parts of whole, like whole range of emotions. In many parts of the world, we see children kind of taking forward the legacy of their parents and doing something in their honor, and both sad, heartbreak, and inspiring. See that you guys take for kudos for that. My question in that regard is, what is the progress that would be in Ontario's Kegley and in Jemile around plant-based meat? Your last stop, people talk about things that kid there out where I out where what's so out to be.
Hey, yeah, thank you. Toronto, we have about 8 councillors that endorse. There's 25 councillors. It's hard to get the attention of Toronto because they're so busy, like all councillors. But so we have more success around. So we have the 3 cities and towns in the region of Peel that have endorsed. So starting with Brampton, Brampton did a really good motion that they passed last year, and then this year Caledon, the next to them, and then Mississauga endorsed. So now we're working on the region appeal. Then we have some people from York Durham here today, Andy and Robin. And we have Richmond. I don't know if Eduardo's here, but he just certainly he was at the VCOP today from Richmond Hill. So the Richmond Hill endorsed just this past week. And there's a resolution coming up with the Vaughan in a couple of weeks. And we're doing a deputation in Muskoka, in Gravenhurst. So, equally in this audience live all sorts of places like Ottawa and Montreal. And so we just got to tackle every single city. There are a lot of people from the U.S. We've got a PH here from L.A. And I think you're going to have a go for Culver City. In a week or I don't know, a couple weeks or something. Yeah. So whatever time. Yeah. So we just got to work on every single city and town. And for Toronto, I think that's not our main focus. That we're trying to see where we can win. But we continue to work on it. But if you want to get involved, we meet at Wishbone Animal Rights Lab every Thursday, 5 to 8. So please and. Yeah, we need your help. And it's not just the city endorsement. Like we work on menu change and restaurants and different institutions. So if you're working with like senior homes or early childhood education or shelters or they're just or schools or universities, we want to start working with universities. So yeah, there's so much you could do. So we want to work on a multi-level approach before we get the endorsement as well.
Well, you look out on your map and you see that you're taking Mississauga and Brampton and Milton and now Richmond Hill. Toronto's feels pretty surrounded right now. It looks like a good strategy. Hopefully, let's help them feel the crushing.
So have you heard about Utah and the nation of Utah? Because when you talk about there hadn't been a nation doing a treaty like that the nation came to mind because they have put themselves on the map in many respects, and I'll get there. Like I think slaughterhouses are illegal there, right?
They have one slaughter.
Okay.
Yes. Did you want to go on or?
So anyway, I just thought maybe I would suggest that if you wanted any Asian that might be able to get there, scene right there.
So yeah, there are about 200 countries in the world, and for the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty, they started with a lot of small island states. So we had a team of 3 that was just returned from Bhutan a couple of days ago, and it has less than 1 million people. And one of the cities, the capital city, Endorse. And once you dive deep in, like you learn, the challenges. So for example, the Prime Minister went to the last COP and talked to the Food and Agriculture Organization, and then they have this program called One Child, One Egg in schools. So then, so our team, they went to 2 schools and cooked plant-based meals, and now they're going to do a pilot project with the Ministry of Education, and show them how because the students they were eating just rice, and then 4 days a week chicken and beef or things like that, or cow flesh, so they're doing a program because they weren't eating vegetable fruits, and fiber and various nutrients. They were getting all the various nutrients. So now we're writing the report just right now. Actually, this morning I was working with Daman and Jai, and we were there. And we're going to work on to apply the budget in, because they have 400 schools, and if you get to all 400 schools and they eat 4 times a day, 7 days a week, that's 1 million meals. So, so the thing is, like, we go to the climate conferences, as you saw, but we should be going to the food conferences because the World Food Program, UNESCO, and World Bank make multi-billion-dollar decisions there. So when you go to climate talks, it's, the environment minister, you're going to go, yes, we agree with you, but you have to reach the Ministry of Agriculture. So we're going to change tactics now and just go target the food conferences as well. But we can do it because we have like 200 teams in 49 countries. And our goal is, her pitch today for the VCOP was to get 1,000 teams in 6 months. So go for 200 to 1,000. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
My question is about reading the film. If you wanted people to see this that are not in our community, how would we market this so that we have folks who would come to the theaters or screen the film? What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough, but when you're making film, you're really committing yourself to a specific audience or audiences, and if you try to hit as many people, you may actually lose your target demographic. I do think it's a story that resonates well with people, and I think there are scenes that it can pull people in who may not be vegan or hungry, so you would have to be finding certain scenes and maybe even behind the scenes footage that would push people away. The word vegan, to many people, it's a dirty word. So you'd have to get creative with using the certain footage to pull them in, I guess. But it's great, Bosh.
I feel like it's a story of hope and hope in action. Making it an impact. And those that will remind nothing like this is the action.
Yes, I've heard.
Like action for cause. Anyways.
No, it's a story. It's a story of like the human spirit, and so that speaks to all types of people, definitely.
There's documentaries we watched today and yesterday that tell you things that what say you should do, that sort of strongly suggesting that this is a problem and you have to stop doing this thing. Whereas telling a story about somebody is so much easier to absorb for people. They're just watching a story. And when Regan, a story about Regan is about where she engaged with somebody, her gentle outreach for a firm. It's a story that where they were talking to somebody else. So the pressure is not on the person. But aren't they really also getting challenged about fur, right? You're hearing and applying yourself, and you have to take a side. And of course you're going to side with Regan, right? And some people may have not decided about have taken a stance on fur. So it's these, and this is what I love about film, is it's something that face-to-face conversation can sometimes get confrontational, but a film you can take away and watch privately. You can give it to somebody and watch it privately. And I think this film accomplishes a lot of those little moments that are, you're watching a story, but you're also learning something. Sometimes we got to trick people into learning things.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Ray is currently applying to get into various film festivals, and it costs money. And we had a budget of $750, and then somebody donated $250. So Ray might be setting up another GoFundMe. So if you want to support Ray's bill, so he can apply to more festivals and maybe even attend. We want to get into some big festivals, and maybe you can get a distributor that way. For right now, we have some exciting festivals, but we haven't applied to that many, right? So Ray, and with the help of James, who was one of the writers on this film, has applied to festivals. So if you'd like to support that, that will be up soon. Okay, great.
Yes, please follow the Plant-Based Treaty. We'll be keeping updates there. And it's just how it sounds on Instagram, Facebook, and different socials, Plant-Based Treaty. And we'll update you on different ways to help promote and really spread this documentary as far as possible.
question.
Yeah, so great documentaries. We have people here from United States and some from Britain, India, and I'm sure they like to know how they can start a plant-based treaty or get involved. So, Anita, would you like to share?
Okay, thank you. So if you go to Plant-Based Treaty website, there's a take action menu item. You scroll, the drop down menu says volunteer, and then you'll be invited to a welcoming call. So there's 2 welcoming calls every single Friday. There's also some Spanish ones. But on Fridays, they're 10 a.m. to PM EST. Adrian George is often on those calls, and then say Kimmy or somebody from the U.S. and you've joined some of those calls, depending where the people are coming from. We try to invite the organizers from those countries. So thanks for that question. And I think there's a little in front of you. I don't know if they can ask a question here.
Where's the suppose needed for us to ask that question? You might do well what proper state group be, but I'm wondering, you were talking with one of the need ministers of a rural county in different countries, and my wife went to that pondering about the strength of their melodic groups for with that farmers. Has I don't know the answer to this, but when you do that, are the state-based partners separate as far as the association is concerned from the animal agriculture, or are they all lumped together and so represented by say so picking it's separated though, and then like have our own lobby based that leads money back to the farmers on board, so that brings more power to the farmers. Sure, good competitions.
That's a good question. Obviously, in different countries, it's different, but the question was about the log of farmer lobbies. Are the animal farmers together with plant farmers? It depends. As we know, it's like if it's feed crop, if it's feed crop, they are basically animal farmers, right? Growing soy or for animals, and they know their interests. But our teams around the world do different things. So, for example, in Spain, they organized the food day. So Enrique, we saw there in the cop film, they invited farmers. Like in that case, it was maybe olive farmers and grape farmers. So you can invite different plant-based farmers. And we invited the minister from Denmark, because Denmark in Spain, they invited them because Denmark did the world's first national plant-based action plan. And then in October, they organized a plant food summit, and they invited other European countries because they want other European Union countries to have a national plant-based action plan. And the Minister of Agriculture opened it up, even though, traditionally it's been but there's a recognition in a lot of European countries, like they need to reduce the number of farmed animals they have. So there is that recognition because of the environmental crises, the food security and all that. So yeah, I think we just need to show up. See, one of the problems with these global food conferences is like we're not showing up. And Pro-Veg, it's one of the groups that was featured. They're beginning to have a table, whereas the animal agriculture have pavilions at these foods. So we got to show up and start representing these interests. So we can. These ministries of agriculture are sometimes captured by that industry, but we need to organize, and when the organizing gets strong and have people power, then they will represent, Earth's interests.
So, interesting comment. The agriculture I do of it, we would be called people to plant cross as farmers, people to abuse animals to about butchers. So that's a very stark differentiation in my head. And my question right now, my thoughts is a loaded one. Now, how we see AI taking away a lot of jobs from our economy and animal exploitation and abuse still being unfortunately one of the more lucrative ways for many people to make money. What are the kind of suggestions that we can make in front of the strategy groups to make sure that as a society we are able to create more sustainable, vegan-friendly job opportunities to people who are firmly invested in animal exploitation-based industries if you're kind of a government to avoid that. Because at some point in time, we have to offer sustainable employment options to them. Right? It's the same logic, telling people to go vegan when they don't really know there's an alternative. So what kind of conversations in strike and what talks that you're having at policy levels, how policy levels, rivals and takers?
I'm no expert in this, but from what's coming to my mind is humans still need a certain amount of calories, so if they're not eating animals, they'll still need maybe more vegetables. So I'm guessing those jobs would quota more vegetable part. I'm not sure.
Like what we do know is that veganic farming is more labor intensive. It's low impact on the environment and high yield, but it requires a lot of hands. And we also know that from like solar energy and alternative energy, if there's more jobs for that. So the companies that benefit from our current system are companies like Cargill, and it's one of the top 5 animal feed and slaughterhouse companies, commodity traders, grains, and they have more billionaires than any family in the U.S. And they have a program in Asia called Hatching Hope, and they want to get 100 billion people in Asia to do backyard chickens. So they're great, those are types of jobs that kids don't want. Like, they don't want to not go to school, so they can, this company makes between 100 and 200 billion revenue a year. It's a David and Goliath battle. What we have on our side is we're standing up for the public interest, with earth interest, for life's interest. So we just have to organize, and we have to educate people, but we also have to advocate. That's why I believe in plant-based treaty teams, because it's both bottom-up and top-down. It's not just bottom-up grassroots organizing, we're also doing top-down advocacy, working with celebrities, with mass media. Yesterday's film, beautiful film, and Susan Margrace talked about her objective, which was getting mass media, and he did it. So that was amazing. So we use this. We have to have these comprehensive campaigns. It's a term used in the labor movement, where you use more than 5 tactics. It's called a comprehensive campaign, and it involves both bottom up and top down. And it's worked for unions like the Service Employees International Union. They succeeded at the fastest growing union and the biggest union in the United States, and they use comprehensive campaigns and they organize. And so we have, in the beginning of the year, we had 60 plant-based treating teams, and now we have 200. So it's going really fast this year. So I believe we can get 1,000 in 6 months. We know how to do it. You just gotta, in the case of Animal Save, we started Toronto Pig Save in 2011, and in the first 5 years, it grew from 1 bird to 35 birds, and we had no money. Nobody was getting paid. Now, then we got funding, and then in the next 5 years, grew from 35 to 1,000. And there was a method. We hired people to go on organizing tours. They went to different countries, Colombia, I'm trying to think of all sorts of countries, like Argentina, Chile, Brazil, and so forth, Paraguay. They went everywhere. And I thought, it's going to be hard to organize something like that in Colombia. Colombia now is very progressive, but before, it was known as, if you're a labor unionist, it's like wearing a coffin on your back. So there's so many murders of organizers. And yet they organize. There's vigils in Medellin, and now it's a more progressive country. But
It's Ben at 9 o'clock now. I've got one more film that I want to play, but I'd like to invite you to any closing comments about the films.
Yeah, there's a comment. When you're making a documentary, what really makes the scene interesting is showing, trying to find people with that fight inside them and that heart. And there was so much of that in this film. And I just want to say, joining the plant-based treaty and giving yourself to a movement also brings you close to people who really have that fire in them and that heart. And it's a great feeling to be surrounded by those people. So, yeah, I thought I'd leave off with that.
Thank you.